What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Strikeout Bros. This is episode 26. What's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? 1 week left to go. It's exciting. We're down the stretch, man. Uh,
Yeah,
your team is rising, and my team is, struggling at the finish line, but they're gonna be crawling to the finish line. But at the end of the day, if you both make the playoffs, that's the name of the game. As you know, once the postseason starts, it's a whole new season. So, but I had an interesting fact. For the first time since 2014, we will not have a team finish with triple digit wins. So that's pretty exciting. So that's
yeah,
good. That means all these teams are competitive. And I think the reason why it might be that way is because you're not facing your division opponents 19 times now, and playing against other teams who you don't see often. So like for example, if there's a team like in the AL West, where like for example, Oakland is like the worst team. Everyone just walks on Oakland. If every one of those teams wins 16 out of those 19 games against Oakland, your wins increase. But now it's different because now you got to face other opponents who haven't seen division cross divisions. So it makes it exciting. So I think that's cool.
yeah. I like it. I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense because the competition is different. You get when you get used to a team, things especially if you're dominant over that team, that's a lot of easy wins for a high-ranking team in the division. You understand what I'm saying? Like teams like Atlanta, should be able to destroy the Marlins or what things are changing now, but that's how it's usually how it usually is. Once you dominate in that division, then it's easy to pick up those wins. But this episode is last week we did the Mets. We did a little. We X-rayed the Mets, and now we're gonna X-ray the birds. The episode's name is "Are the Birds Flying South Earlier Than Expected?" You know, so we all know what that means. You guys started out really hard. Everybody thought that they were 100-win team, just like you said earlier about nobody making it that high this year. And the second half for you guys has been pretty horrible. You know, like
Yeah, since the start of since All Star break, the Orioles are 28-31, so they're under 500, and
mm,
Yankees are a similar situation that they're like 30-33 since the All Star game. So everyone's just struggling. The thing that upsets me about the Orioles struggles is not their pitching because I knew their pitching staff was hurt. Everyone has injuries. It's a part of the game. So injuries is not an excuse. My thing that upsets me is that Baltimore has the majority of their players back, their star players at least. And they're playing. They're not producing runs. It just drives me crazy. I don't know what it is. They're just home runs or nothing is the way I identify the Orioles as far as offensive goes, and that's not a good thing, especially if you're going into the postseason. Because in postseason, usually the pitching steps up, and it makes it harder because no one's just going to give you easy balls to hit out of the park. So you got to be more
exactly.
strategic. You know what I mean?
Of course, I understand what you mean, but yeah, you guys, in the last month of the season, you guys are 8-10. You won 8, lost 10 in September. You know, and you lost series to the Rays, the Red Sox, Detroit, San Francisco. This is all in the month of September. This is pretty crazy. This is how bad it is. I just want to break it down a little more. And the crazy thing is that Detroit is fighting for that last slot with Minnesota. And Detroit's playing really good baseball, but they beat you guys in the series, and then you guys played. somebody else after that. But then you right now at the moment you're playing Detroit as well, and it's a rubber match tonight, right? Because it's
Yeah,
tied.
today's game three. It's an afternoon game. I think it's like a 12 o'clock game. I don't know why they're playing so early, but it's a rubber match. I keep forgetting that to Detroit is also trying to play for that last wild card spot. They've been doing really well. So you know they're not a pushover like you said a while back. So they're trying really hard. They want to get there.
Yeah,
What makes Detroit interesting is they have a really good bullpen, and what makes Baltimore a disaster is that their bullpen is really bad. I think that's the number one contributor as to why they're 28 and 31 down the stretch. Their bullpen just has blown a lot of games. They don't have a true closer. It's just losing Felix Bautista last year is just has hurt them because what happens is when you lose your closer, certain pitchers are used to routines. For example, Yunior Cano, your setup man knows that he's only coming in for the eighth inning. Now he's
yeah.
got to come in the seventh inning, the sixth inning, who knows, or the ninth inning. So he's all over the place. So it
It's
messes up
over
his
the place.
flow.
Yeah, definitely.
And you had that experience last year with the Mets when they lost Edwin Diaz. You had a closer by committee. You know what I mean? So it's like one day it's gonna be this guy, one day it's gonna be that guy, and it allows the pitcher not to get into rhythm or whoever, and it's not good
Yeah,
psychologically either. But hey, it's what it is. No excuses. It happens. It's the name of the game. Like I said, the thing that upsets me is their offense is not producing, and it has nothing to do with injuries. It's just they've hit a massive slump, and they just I don't know how they get out of it.
yeah, pretty
So
bad. And
my
the
thing is will it carry over? Because there's been teams, one thing I noticed like every year, there's teams that will play hot going down the stretch and then they get in the postseason, they fall apart. And then there's teams like, last year, the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, they both were struggling down the end. They were having the same issues at Baltimore. And then the postseason came and they just both came alive. And, so who knows? Maybe that could happen with Baltimore and Atlanta, two teams that are struggling down the line as well.
yeah,
So
probably tired. They're probably tired.
Yeah,
So
so that it goes back to the podcast we had a while back about should they reduce the amount of games they play to reduce the fatigue and tiredness that these players exuberate. But
yeah,
these guys are well professional athletes, so they have all the best resources to recover a lot quicker than you or I if we were playing every day. But they're human beings like just like everybody else. So I
yeah,
don't know if it's fatigue, if it's just like, they're stressed out, so they're not approaching the plate the proper way. Who knows what it is, or just either that, or other teams that figure how to pitch the Orioles and say, all right, this is what they do best. This is what they hit. Don't give them these pitches. Oh, this is what you do in this type of count. Who knows? Baseball is a strategies too. It's like football. You got to come up with a different defensive scheme to stop a high power offense.
yeah,
So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
yeah. But I mean, saying, listen, you guys win tonight. The Yankees happen to lose. Then the window gets smaller, and then you guys are playing the Yankees next. And if you win this game tonight, that'll be good for you guys. You need to win that series, and then you can start from there. Then you go into that serious, high end series, that Yankees. Right? So the Yankees are gonna try to, take your head off, but you have to fight. And then it's happen to say, you never know because it can happen. You sweep the Yankees, then you're right back in it. It's not impossible. It's just gonna be really hard. That's all. But you guys are still in the playoffs, and that's what that matters. And like you said, you might get re-sparked and just go for a nice run.
Yeah, I So what's really interesting? If the season were to end today, the two it'd be Baltimore and Kansas City at home, and Baltimore is just. I mean, excuse me, Kansas City is just as
Just
bad
bad as you guys,
as
yeah.
Baltimore. They can't score to save a run, so it could come down to pitching performance. And I they literally only reason why we're still in first place in the wild card is because every time we lose, Kansas City loses too, and when we do win, Kansas City happens to lose, so we're still 4.5 ahead in the wild card. So that's a
A big
plus.
lead, big lead. You guys are good. You just have to manage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because you
you
can't.
just got to score runs. So
You,
if you can take
yeah,
advantage of a Kansas City and
you
score
can.
runs, who knows?
Yeah, it has to go down like that. Like I believe that you guys are gonna fix it. I don't want to see you guys. you know, hurt like that at the bottom. And the Kimbrough. Speaking about bottoms, closers and bottom of the ninth and stuff like that. You guys finally got rid of that problem of yours.
Yes, he's the main cause as to why we lost so many games. That boy blow games, and it's crazy because every time everyone says he's a Hall of Fame closer, I was like, I want to throw up because he is a Hall of Fame closer. He's like third in the majors in total, like with the most amount of saves. He when he first started out with Atlanta and Boston, he was just lights out, and then he got to Philadelphia and Baltimore, and everything went down south. So he's a great closer, but he's past his prime, and it's very hard to stay on top of your game. There's not too many Mariano Rivera's of the world, that's there, or the Trevor Hoffmans. Those are just some name a few
Yeah,
closers who were so dominant when they came in, and today's closers they're not strikeouts anymore. It's they don't strike a lot of people out anymore or ground outs. They're all trying to get strikeouts, and the problem with that is you throw so hard, and you think that your velocity can outdo the other guy. But the
yeah,
problem with that is you mistakenly put that ball in one wrong place. Guy hits a home run. It's just throws you all off. So I'm glad to see that they designate him for assignment, which means anyone can pick him up if they want to. If not, like I said, Baltimore were
yeah.
smart.
But I'm
It's
sorry,
a
but it's
1 year
bad.
investment.
I just want to say one thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
any team can pick him up, but he won't be eligible for the postseason. So I read that
Why is that?
yesterday. I read that. I don't know. That listen, we can dive deeper into that. We can look it up, but we, saying anybody that thinks that they're gonna fix Kimbrough for the postseason, he's not available for that. That's crazy. I read it yesterday, so it's serious. It's probably over for him because nobody's gonna pick him up now. Nobody's gonna pick him up, and nobody's gonna offer him anything for next year. So I think his career is over. But you never know, though. You never know. But yo, he gave up 6 runs in
Yeah.
the ninth inning, right?
I
That was
remember
it.
that. I was pissed. I was like, and we
That
had
was
the lead, I think.
no. You guys lost that one. That was the Blake Snell game, I believe. That was the Snell
Oh, the
game.
San Fran Blake. Well, you talking about? Well, this past week we played San Francisco, and he pitched. Blake Snow just was lights out. They just couldn't score any runs.
Yeah,
But I think they brought Kimbrel in. Sometimes they'll bring Kimbrel in like in the seventh or eighth just to get him some work, and he still implodes. So you could bring him in the
yeah.
first inning, he'll implode. You can bring him in batting practice, and he'll implode. Who knows? It's just
Wow. I mean, you
I don't
gotta.
know what it is, if it's
Yeah,
psychiatric thing, psychological, or just he has lost. He's not a flamethrower. He's more about control, and he doesn't have the ability to control. And if you can't control your ball, I think having controllability is more important than speed because the speed eventually goes away as you get older.
yeah. But he was
Where
good at the beginning.
controllability doesn't.
Wasn't he really good at the beginning of the season?
No, I don't know. He's started all right,
Yeah,
but
he did well.
he was like 8 of 9 on saves. But we need him now. Beginning of season doesn't matter because, as you can tell from going to the New York Mets, they were what 19 going into the first half of the season, and then now look where they are now. They're gonna get that last wild card spot. So it doesn't matter how you start; it's how you finish. And if everyone's struggling down the line, that's not a good sign. And other teams that are in playoff contention, they're salivating to, oh yeah, look at Baltimore. They're messing up like crazy. We could beat them. And now,
Exactly.
I'm sure the players know that too on that Orioles team. But
Of course.
it's what it is. Who knows? In this series with Detroit, they looked a little better. Like yesterday, they were down 4-2 in the ninth. They got man on first and second. They scored the tying runs, and then they had bases loaded, no outs, and they just couldn't bring in that third run, that fifth run to win the game, and they lost. But I don't know what it is. I'm convinced that every player on that team is trying to hit a home run. They don't teach these guys you gotta play small ball. Everyone wants to hit home runs. Everyone wants to be flashy, but the name of the game is not to be flashy. The name of the game is to win the damn game.
Yeah.
They're trying to do all or none. They have an all or none approach, meaning either hit a home run or nothing. You gotta take whatever's given to you take the take the hits that if they given to you. They don't know how to pull the other direction, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, you guys are still gonna make the playoffs. I mean, you never know what can happen, but you guys are gonna make it, and hopefully you can respark and move in the right direction. So I have a list here of you know, like the top five for collapses in Major League history. And I want you to read off the first one.
Well, the first collapse was your 1964 Philadelphia Phillies. The collapse by which all measured the Phillies had led by 6.5 games with 12 games to go, yet lost 10 in a row. That's crazy. Uh,
Yeah,
Much is to blame, rightfully so. Uh, it fell on the manager at the time was Gene Muke, who had started pitcher Jim Bunnings and Chris Short in 7 of the team's final 10 games, with 6 of those starts coming on 2 days rest. I'm guessing those two pitchers were their best pitchers. That's why
yeah,
they kept on starting them.
yeah, but look what you did to them.
But you wore them out. You
Yeah,
broke their arms essentially, and teams figured them out. And so the Phillies lost all of them. The epic collapse known as the fold with the capital P, like it's in PHOLD.
yeah,
Um,
that's pretty bad. Then you have
what? Yeah, what's the next one?
the next one is the Boston Red Sox in 2011, right?
Oh, I
So
remember that season. Oh my gosh, I remember that season.
yeah, that was pretty crazy, right? So basically, Boston lost 20 games in the month of September and became the first team to ever hold a 9-game lead in September and still not make the playoffs. That's pretty crazy.
I remember that because in that 2011 season, the Red Sox had to win 1 or 2 games against Baltimore. It was they had to win the last game against Baltimore to get in, and
Yes.
they lost, and they were up, and they blew the game. And I remember I was so excited because when your team's not in it, you want to be the spoiler. Like, well, if I'm not in it, screw you. I don't want my division opponent to get in there.
Yeah.
And Baltimore, I don't know what it is. They just came out of nowhere and won those like last 2 games, and it basically knocked Boston out of the playoffs. It was like amazing. I remember that. That was so fun.
Wow, yo. That's crazy.
And then in 2009, the Detroit Tigers, they were in first place from May 10th until the last game of the season. They led Minnesota by 3 games with four to play, and somehow they didn't make the playoffs. Isn't that crazy? It's like
Yeah.
wow. The
That's
Twins beat the Tigers with 4 days remaining, then swept the Royals while Detroit won just one of its final three versus the White Sox. That set up a 1 game playoff in Minnesota where the Tigers actually led in the 10th inning before losing in the 12th inning. You remember, this is before they had the Manfred man on second rule. So it was harder to score runs in extra innings.
yeah.
You had to get 3 outs with no runners on. And that's just, oh man. Top. I think that collapse is worse than Philadelphia,
Yeah,
because
that's not,
they
yeah.
literally played the teams that are ahead of them and they still managed not to beat them. So that's worse than Philadelphia. Anyway, what's the next team on your list?
Oh man, this one I actually remember this one. So this is the New York Mets in 2007, and they came the Mets, right? They had a 7-game lead, right, on September 12th, right, and they lost 5 in a row. Then they won 4 out of 5, and then finally they lost 6 of the last 7. So on the final day, bro, Tom Glavine, I remember watching this game, bro. I was by myself and I was watching it, and I think it was an earlier game. It wasn't a late game. It was earlier. And yo, Glavin gave up like what 7 runs, bro, in the first inning. You know what I'm saying? They had to take him out, bro. He got 1 out in that inning, and that's it. It was over. But that's typical Met stuff. I'm still waiting for that to happen this year. Because there's still time to mess it up. We could lose today, Atlanta could win today, and then we go and play Atlanta, and Atlanta sweeps us, and then forget about it. And then after that, we don't even have to talk about the Milwaukee series. So this ain't over yet. I want Met fans to understand that we are capable of the most hideous things that the eyes do not want to see. So we will see what happens. We have 7 games left. We played the ball yesterday. And, I just want to say that Peterson, I don't blame Peterson. I have a feeling that Peterson and Alvarez have a really good relationship. And I noticed that, like, when the top of the rotation starters pitch and Alvarez is catching, these pitchers are having amazing games. And I feel like Alvarez is the reason why. I think Alvarez is a great catcher. I think he's young. I think he's smart. And I think that he's going to get better. And I think he can make any pitcher better. He works with you. You can tell, like, it's a different relationship. And Peterson threw to Torrens. Torrens is a great, kid too. I like him, but I think that Alvarez knows what he's doing behind the plate, and he makes the rotation better. That's just my opinion. I don't know if anyone's out there, disagreeing with what I said, but I think that's what's happening.
No, Alvarez, like I said, catchers are the quarterbacks of baseball. Pitching goes as well because those catchers, they know how to call a really good game. They know the strengths and the weaknesses of the pitcher that they're facing. That's why, for example, some pitchers only want to pitch to a certain catcher. Like
Yeah.
for example, Garrett Cole last year liked to pitch to Kyle Higashioka, who's no longer with the Yankees. He's in San Diego. So instead of pitching to the main catcher,
You
um,
see?
so this just but these guys they're pitching. They prefer to pitch to pitch with Alvarez catching behind the plate, and he's
Mm-hmm.
handled all those guys well. I
Yes, he
think
has.
he's part of the reason why Manai has had a great year, why Severino's had a great year.
Yes, I believe.
Peterson,
Yes, yes,
he's
100%.
he's made those guys money for next off season because
Yeah,
all those guys are 1 year deals. If I am the Mets, out of those two pitches, I would think about re-signing Severino to another 1 year contract and just see where we go. Because I would, if he's gonna want a lot of money because he's doing well, but maybe give him a 1 or 2 year deal and just give him a big chunk of change in the
I don't.
beginning.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I don't think he's gonna take it. I think he's gonna go. He's gonna go for the money. So he's gonna
No, I
go.
don't blame him because he's near the end of his
Yeah,
career and
yeah,
this might be his last chance to cash in. So
yeah, exactly. So he's
uh,
gonna do that. I don't see him taking a 1 year or 2 year deal from the Mets at all. Like, that's not enough for him. He needs, a little package because that's what he's gonna be looking for. And he proved that he still has it. The Yankees gave up on him, and that was a mistake. And look what happened. But then again, like I said, Alvarez is an amazing catcher, and I think he is the reason why the rotation has gone so far this year. Well, we'll see what happens. We still have 7 games. Atlanta's on our tails. We have a 2-run, 2-game lead. They're still outside looking in, and Arizona and San Diego will be playing each other in a series prior to the ending of it. And there's a lot of good things happening. The Mets have to face the Brewers, and that's another team that clinched already. And
yeah,
there's a
they won
lot
their
of
division too.
Division Two, right? And so there's a lot of good competition out there, and you know this is a good test for them. I, I'm just gonna go with the flow, enjoy what's happening, and hopefully we can slide in there. Because like I said, there's still time to for things to go south. 7 games, there's a lot of games, but we'll see. Did you read about what happened to C.J. Abrams? It's funny because he was
Yeah,
at City Field for 3 days. I was there for all 3 games, and he was there. He's a good kid. He's gonna get better, and you know he ends up going to a casino and staying out all night, and then he comes into a game and he goes 0 for 3. So they sent them back down for the remainder of the season. So what? 5 games. They spanked them for that. And let me tell you something, bro. I feel like if you would have went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, nobody would have said a damn thing. All right. If they were in playoff contention, right? Like we're gonna fight for these last, few games to try to sneak into the playoffs. Do you think they would have said something about that, Lasha?
No, no, no. If because he's their whole offense for the Nationals. That's the best offensive player. I think they're just trying to make an example out of him. I think him and the manager kind of rubbed heads, and the manager's like, "Well, all right, we'll just send you downstairs." I don't think it has to do with performance. It's just that was the last straw that broke the camel's back between him and the manager. So they're trying to set an example, like you said. If he was a star on the team, and he was if that was a Juan Soto or Alonso or Lindor, they're not doing that. Trust me. They'd be like, all right, they'll just deal with it internally and let him continue playing. But because it's the Nationals, they're under 500 again. They're a rebuilding team. They're not going to make the playoffs, and they know that. They're like, oh, well, who cares? We don't need you. We're not going to win anything, so might as well just set an
Yeah,
example.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. 100%. So this is it's gonna be a little crazy, because things that should have happened didn't happen, and now things are looking completely different. And I'm just gonna have fun with it. It looks like a fun postseason either way. The Yankees are in there. They think they're hot stuff, and I can't wait to see them fall.
The
Everybody.
Yankees,
Yes,
Yankees
yes.
are not hot stuff, man. Listen, the Yankees have similar issues that they're starting besides Garrett Cole and what's his name, Carlos Rodon, the pitchers. They don't have anybody else after that, and their closer is suspect. You think Kimbrel's suspect? Clay Holmes, which is crazy because Clay Holmes was an All Star this year, and he's been coughing up games like he's got the flu or something. It's just like not good. So they have the same issues. The good thing about the Yankees is the middle relief is really good for the most part. So so the nice thing about if you win your division is you get a chance to restart your pitching rotation. You get to set up your rotation,
Patient. Yeah, because you get a week off, bro.
and you don't have to do it on the fly. Baltimore's gonna have to do it on the fly, and the problem with Baltimore is the number one ace Burns has been struggling like no other. The other day he had a good game finally on Friday, but besides that, he's had a horrible second half. Will it affect him getting money in the offseason? No, I think he'll get his money, but I don't see him coming back to Baltimore unless Baltimore is really desperate and they need him.
Well, no,
And
let's see
maybe,
let's see what he does in the postseason. You never
yeah,
know.
if he wins, so when you're in when you're in the wild card, every game matters. So if you can take the
Yeah,
first win, that's a big plus.
of
So I think
course.
it's going to be Burns, Eflin, and then I don't know who the third guy is. I don't unless Grayson Rodriguez comes back, which he's been good, but he could come back and be cold and mess up the game. So who knows? Um, so who knows what will happen there? But if the way it's looking like, if the season ended today, Burns would go first, and then Eflon would go second, and you'd hope to win those 2 games. That way, you don't have to play game three because you have to play game three now. Your third start is up in the air. It
Yeah.
could be Kramer. It could be. It's not going to be Povich. He's the rookie. He's had a rough year. He's like 2-9. So, and then it puts pressure on the. So even if you do advance, guess what? When you go to play the Yankees or the AL, whoever it is you're going to play, you're not going to be able to use Burns or Eflin in the beginning of that first game because they're not going to have enough time to rest in between. They're not going to get that 7 days, I don't think. So, so now you got to
No,
use your fourth starter for
no, I
game one
think
in
I
the
think no,
ALDS.
no. I think they will if they finish fast, right? If they do it in 2 days, then I think the DS or the that starts at a specific date, because they still have to wait for the winners of the other because they want to make sure that both of those start like around the same time, you know, the National League
Yeah.
One and the American League One. So like if you finish fast and the other teams in the wild card, they end up going 3 games, and you kind of get the rest that you need. And those series start on specific dates, I believe. So I think they would be able to pull
October
it off.
1st. Oh, for the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. So going back to the Mets, right? Mets have a was it 2 games ahead of
Yeah, two
two
games
games
ahead
ahead of Atlanta.
of Atlanta. They
So if
won.
the Mets continue to win, right? Let's say when they win today, even if Atlanta wins, Atlanta's still 2 games. So
Yeah.
even if Atlanta takes, if they take 2 out of 3 from the Mets, it'd be a tie,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically Atlanta finishes the regular season with Kansas City. So, and Kansas City is going to be playing for that wild card. So they're both two teams that are trying to play for that wild card spot. Well, Kansas City will most likely be in. It's so Atlanta needs the games more than basically even if Atlanta needs to take 2 out of 3 from New York, and then they need the Mets to lose 2 out of 3 to their whoever they're playing last. Was it Washington you played last?
What the last series of the
Yeah.
season? That's
hmm
Milwaukee, bro.
So Milwaukee, you should be up because Milwaukee's already won the division. They're
I,
probably just
yeah,
gonna lay low and
rest.
just
Yes, that's what I
so
read. They're gonna lay low, but I don't believe that. It's still gonna be hard. We still have to win those games. They're not gonna hand those games.
yeah.
You know.
So even if basically Mets just continue to win because even if the Mets continue to win, Atlanta continues to you know even if the Mets win today, they're still and Atlanta wins, there's still 2 games ahead.
Yeah, that's
If
how it
they
is.
if Atlanta wins the first 2 games this week, it'll be a tie for that last spot, and then whoever loses that third game in that series would be 1 game ahead, and then basically you would need the other teams to whoever's in that last spot would either have to win out to clinch that spot, basically is what would happen. So right now, whatever the situation was, that last team would have to win out so Atlanta can't catch them.
Yeah,
And then the other thing is that San Diego and Arizona, they have the first and second spot, but San Diego's 2 games ahead, and I think they play each other at the end of the season, San Diego and Arizona.
yeah, they do. They play each
So
other. I think it's the next series. I'm not sure, but they play each other for sure.
yeah, so if Arizona and San Diego, if Arizona takes 2 from 3 of San Diego, it would be a tie for that first spot, which means that the Mets could potentially it'd be a tie for that first wild card spot, and then the second spot could potentially be the Mets, and then I don't know if you had a tie for the first wild card spot. I guess it would be who had the better record against each other, or would it just be or who had the better record against the NL division in general would probably get that first wild card spot. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do, but we'll see because they're always switching it up. They're probably who knows? They'll be like, oh, that's a 1 game elimination. Like something silly like that. I don't know because who's the who? Let's see what happens. But the hit of the week, right? It's Mr. Adames. We just finished talking about this team, Milwaukee, and Milwaukee already clinched. And Adames went 3 for 3, 2 home runs, a walk, 5 RBIs. That's amazing. I was on the 14th, and I was against Arizona. That's hilarious. We just
Yeah,
talk
he
about
had a
that.
really good game.
That's a really good game against that team. So like if they bump into the play, each other in the playoffs somehow, because how would that happen? It can happen, but it's too early to be saying, oh, if this and this, like I just they can bump into each other in the playoffs. And then we have, oh man, another guy, another one of my problems for the pitcher of the week. It's Dylan Cease,
We've
right?
had him on before.
So of course we have. He's had a great season. The 13th of this month against San Fran, 6 innings, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts. Oh my God. And that's pretty crazy, because it's another problem the Mets might have once again. San Diego and Milwaukee. All right. So now the question, the trivia is coming for you, brother. So what year did the Mets play the Orioles in the World Series?
Your 1976,
No,
or is it 70? Wait. Was it 77?
no. It was remember the Mets only won two championships. They won one in '86 and then they won one in what? You don't know that.
What 80? Wait, what was it? The Miracle Mets. That was what 86.
No, the Miracle Mets, yeah, if you want to call them that. They were all Miracle Mets teams.
Yeah, the
No, no,
when
no.
they played Baltimore and they beat Baltimore. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
76.
No, that was '69, right?
Oh, the 69.
Yep. And then can you tell me how who won that?
Oh, Mets won that. What is it? They won like that World Series you talking about?
Yeah, how did they win
Yeah,
it? And what
the
was the
Mets.
series and the total at the end?
They won what, 4 games to 2? Oh,
Or
4 games to what is it, 4-3? I don't
four,
remember, to be honest with you.
4-1.
Four
But
to one. Okay,
and you know what's crazy? Baltimore won the first game, and then the Mets came back and won
and won all three or
all
all
four.
four. So they
All
won four in a row.
yeah, and there was a lot of big names on those teams too.
Strawberry and
No, no, no. We're talking about the '69 Mets, man.
oh,
Yeah, so we're talking about Tom Seaver, Ed Kranepool.
R.I.P. Tom Seaver.
Yeah,
He just passed away too. Ed Kranepool.
Yeah,
He's
he did
so
recently.
sad.
Yeah, Guzman is on this. Was on that team.
Gary Carter,
No,
catcher.
no, no, no. That was '86, bro. You got two
Oh, that's
teams.
right.
What's
I'm
wrong with
getting
you?
everything mixed up.
Oh. But yeah, and then what was that? Davy Johnson. He played for the Baltimore Orioles back then, and
Yeah, and he was
he was
yeah,
the manager for the '86
he was the manager
series.
for the Mets.
But
Yes,
no, for the '86 series, he was there. He was our manager. How
yeah, he was
crazy
the
is
manager of
that?
the Mets.
Yeah, how crazy is that? So he has two rings. Well, he has one. He has one ring, and he was in two World Series involved with with the opposing team. It's a weird story. It's kind of cool though. But yeah, but yeah. So this is the end of the episode, and we shall see what happens today. Every day is an important game. It's come to that point where we're getting really close, and I can't wait to see both of our teams in the playoff. Because when we started this podcast, that's not what we were thinking. You know,
No,
no,
everyone had the Mets as rebuilders, and everybody had the Orioles as a potential World Series team, and that's complete opposite
uh,
directions
yeah,
currently.
yeah, both for both teams, they both went in completely different directions as of late, and now we're let's see. I would love to see it. I would love to see it, and then that gives us, you know, the slight chance of seeing Baltimore and the Mets in the World Series this year. Because
Yeah,
because listen, if both teams get in, what there's a chance, there's a percentage. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's out there. If they both make the postseason, there's a chance that it can happen.
yeah, you could have a rematch of the '86 Orioles
I mean,
Mets. Well,
the 69, the 69,
'69.
man, the
I got
69.
all messed up. Anyway,
Oh man, but it's okay.
but how about one more thing? How about Shohei Ohtani?
Oh man,
He just continues to raking, man. He's gonna win the MVP without pitching. If it wasn't for him, Lindor, if he wasn't around, Lindor would definitely get MVP unanimously. But because Lindor is in the way, he's not. I mean, because Otani's in the way, Lindor is not going to get it. But Otani, man, 50 home runs and 50 steals. He just continues to.
yeah,
Someone they had an interview with the manager of the Marlins, and they asked him, "Why would you pitch to him?" He goes, "Why would I not pitch to him? I think I respect it." He goes, "Listen, anything can happen. You could get the guy out on strikes. Why am I? Why because he hits home runs? I'm just gonna cave to him and just walk him? That's stupid. Fans don't come to the ballpark to see the best player get walked. We're gonna challenge him and see. And I respect that. He's not afraid of Otani. If the guy gives up a home run, oh well, hats off to Otani. It's what it is.
yeah,
And so I like that approach. Most teams would walk him. Same thing with Judge. Why do these teams continue to pitch to Judge? All right, well, if you walk him all the time, the problem with walking is would you rather give up one run or walk him and the next guy hits a home run? Now you're giving up 2 runs or whoever, whatever, when he comes up, whatever the situation might be. They might be three guys on base already. You might have bases loaded with Judge on with 2 outs. Now you walk him. Now you force a run, especially if you're up by one. Do you want to walk in that one run to tie the game, or you want to take a risk and go for it? So there's
Yeah.
a risk and reward. You got to take your risks, and Judge strikes out. Now the difference between this year Judge and last year is that his strikeout rates have gone down drastically. That was one of his flaws last year. He had high strikeout percentage, but this year he's gone down, and it's helped him a lot.
But you know what? You think that in the postseason against the Yankees, that's exactly why they're gonna go down because they're not gonna pitch to either one of those guys. If they'll have to pitch to one maybe, but in a serious situation where it's like, all right, we're winning and there's men on base, I got, I want to walk this guy, 2 outs, like
Yeah.
you don't wanna play with that, like 'cause you want to win the game, and it's a different mindset. So let's see what happens. Let's see how, what kind of at bats Soto and Judge have in the postseason. Because if you can shut that down, then you're gonna have to show us what else the Yankees have. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, but it's
Hmm.
9 guys. It's not 2 guys. It's nine
No.
guys. So let's see what these 9 guys are gonna do. If we if we walk Soto and Judge, then there's 7 guys that are gonna have to produce. They're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to get on base. They're gonna have to push the line. Like I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm gonna try to watch as much as possible. I'm definitely gonna watch even harder if my team makes it. But I'll be bitter because we won't make it, and I don't know. We'll see.
All you gotta do is basically, if the Mets win out, you'll make it. Basically, the Mets have to win out, in my opinion,
It's a lot
and
of
or you need Atlanta to lose 2 games. If Atlanta loses the next 2 games, basically you gotta take 2 out of 3. If you take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, it's over. You'll make it.
there's a lot of ways to do it, man. I would love to like win today for them to lose, so this way we go into that series with 3 games up, and then if we win one game, then we're good, and then we know we have to keep fighting because we have to play Milwaukee too. It's gonna be hard. It's a hard one. But we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna be positive. We're gonna make it. But we're coming to the end of the show. I'm gonna say good luck to all those amazing teams doing amazing things. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but Baltimore, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. I'll see.
Yeah, they'll stumble in there, but reason why they're getting in there is because Kansas City continues to lose. But even if Kansas City continues to lose, they still have the first wild card spot. My concern was that it would get flip flopped, meaning that Kansas City would get the number 1 seed in the wild card, and we get the second wild card spot, meaning you would just play in Kansas City. But safe to say it'll be in Baltimore. Um, in baseball, home field advantage really doesn't make a difference like it does in football. Home field advantage is, I don't know if it really matters in
And I mean,
baseball.
baseball, yeah, you get the bottom. The bottom of the inning is a
Yeah.
great way to finish it. You kind of manage things differently from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like home field advantage it's important. I mean, listen, man, I was at that, those Philly games, and let me tell you
Mhm.
something. There was a lot of Philly fans in there, and you can hear it every time the Phillies got a hit, they got a homer. You can hear it in the crowd. So it was a pretty good mix. It was nice to see. The stadium was completely packed in September, bro. Like I've never seen anything like that. Like that's pretty crazy to me. September, nobody's going to the game.
Has that
Super,
baseball atmosphere, yeah.
yeah, it does, and it's cold, right? It's not even cold right now. It's like very decent to play
70s,
baseball.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 80s, man. There was it was 80 the other night for one of those Philly games. That's crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but like we got them good in the first game. They got us good in the second, and then we got them good in the third. But hopefully tonight we can take that from them. If we can take 3 out of 4, oh man, that'll be great. And the funny thing is that we played them 7 games, so this would be game 7, literally, because we played them 7 times, right, including today's game in the last couple of weeks, right? And we lost the series over there because Diaz gave up, something, or I believe, and we could have won those games, but we lost the series. So we lost. We won one, they won two, and now we won two and one. So it's tied 3-3 right now. You know what I'm saying? So this is game
Yeah.
7. This is game seven. This is just a little taste of what's coming. Like this is like playoff baseball. It's gonna be crazy. So this is game seven today, boy, and hopefully the Mets can take it because that'll give them like a little sense of like we got this. And Philly's tough.
Well, it'll just all they'll do is they'll give him a 2-game lead against the Braves going into that Brave series on Tuesday. And
No,
if
that's
they
if
yeah.
Atlanta loses. Yeah,
No, right now it's still 2 games. Even if Atlanta wins tonight, it'd still be
yeah.
2 games ahead of us.
No, if we lose, yes,
If the Mets lose and the Braves win, then you're 1 game ahead
one
going
game.
in.
Yep,
So you basically gotta win out,
yeah, we
essentially.
have to. All right, guys, yo, enjoy the rest of it because it's gonna be fun. We'll be talking to you about it soon. Have
Yeah,
a good.
next week's episode, we'll already know the postseason teams and who they'll be facing and where they are. So we'll provide all that information in the next episode.
Definitely. Peace, bro.